Hi everybody, welcome to The Gloves Are Off. This is what's coming up on today's video. Right guys, we're going to move on to round one. Now this is build quality out of the two brushes. Now for previous sort of experience on these brushes, I've owned the Sotar probably 3 months, and when it comes to the Evolution, I've owned this one for about 12 to 13 years. So on build quality, the Evolution so far beats it because it's a 12 to 13 year old brush and it's still going strong. But I've heard of other YouTubers that have had Sotars for long periods of time and they are a great quality brush as well. So when you look up close at these brushes on the build quality, on the Sotar Slim, you don't get a crown cap on this one. They do models that's got like the little prong cap to the front, but this one's got like a little plastic sleeve that goes over the front. Now, build quality on this, it feels really nice. The finish is really nice on it. It's a nice black finish to this brush. You've got your adjuster to the back, which you can dial your trigger in. The only thing I don't like about this brush is, because I'm not used to it, is you have to undo the chuck here and then slide your needle out. It's just getting used to that way. As the Evolution, you just have to take the back off and then do the chuck. But it's just getting used to this way of doing your needle. It is a very nice design with that, so you can grab your needle out the back and then you can just nip your chuck up like that. The triggers on these are really nice. Nice, soft, smooth trigger. You have a smaller adapter that you would have to buy. All your sort of like harder and steenbeck and your Iwaters are a bigger adapter. These ones come in a little bit slimmer, so you have to buy an adapter that goes to your normal airbrush hookup. You've got a plastic sleeve here, which I like on this brush as well, because when you hold the brush, it's nice and comfortable on your finger, like that. The Sotar Slim is the one that's got like the scallop at the top, so you've got a little paint reservoir. You can buy this brush in the same needle setup in the 0.2 fine with a cup on the top as well. So to look a bit like that on the Evolution, you'd have a bit more of a cup. You can get this in a 0.5 as well. So there are different options of this brush. But build quality, I think it's really nice. The precision on the nozzle inside is really nice as well. Very nicely machined out inside there. Needles are nice. So that's the Sotar, looking at the build quality on that. When it comes to H&S, I think the build quality is better. They're a lot more sort of precise when it comes to their build quality. They're easier to strip down, as I've said in other videos. And as I say, this one is 12 to 13 years old. And it's a very, very nice brush and still works. The only thing you will find with the Evolutions, if you get an original Evolution, what this one was, this is the Evolution Silverline Solo. This isn't the CR Plus, so the body, the actual chrome finish on the body tarnishes after time, and it takes a lot of years for it to tarnish. But then they brought out the CR Plus, which is the better coating. So you'll find the CR Plus bodies are better on the coatings. The older ones, they do look exactly the same, but after time they will tarnish a little bit easier than the CR Plus. This one's the Evolution Silverline Solo with the FPC valve to the bottom. So this one's got like a MAC valve here that you turn and you can dial your air in. On the back you've got your adjuster to dial your trigger in. Double action, and I've changed this one to the V2 needle and nozzle setup with the infinity prong cap. So if you are looking for this brush, you basically, to get this sort of setup, go for the Evolution CR Plus on a 0.15 V2, and that is basically this brush but without the air valve here. So that's a look at both build qualities. They're both good. They've both got their pluses and they've both got their sort of minuses in build quality. But I'd say on the price points on these, their build qualities are about the same. So let's move on to round 2. Right guys, round 2 we are looking at prices, availability and spares on both of these airbrushes, because there's nothing worse than buying an airbrush and then you struggle to try and find spares for it. You're hunting around on the internet. Both of these brushes are really good on availability on spares and things like that. Now we'll move on to the sotar. The spares for this and the place you can get it from in the UK is Barwell UK Airbrush Supplies. That's where I got this one from. Now when you click on their website and you ask for the slim, which is this one, which has not got the cup on, they're actually out of stock on this actual brush. But if you want this brush, which is the 0.25 with the cup on the top, now me personally, I like the scallop. But if you like a cup, you can get exactly the same. It's got a little cup on the top. These are coming out at 128. So yes, you can get them cheaper on Amazon and eBay if you want to save yourself like a tenner. But me personally, I'd rather go to a company that's based in the UK where you can get all your spares from. If you have any dramas, you can ring the guys up at Barwell and they will put you right on anything you need for the brush. So on the website, when you click on, if you type in sotar 2022F, which basically this is, but the one on the screen will be with the cup, you'll see a little sort of pull down column to the side and you've got badge of spares. You can see all the bits that you can get for the spares for this. So it's nice and easy website to look through. These come out at 128 and it's guaranteed UK delivery, next day delivery in with that. So 128 for the sotar. I think it's well worth it. We'll move on to the Evolution. Now, the place where I'd say get this, you can get this on eBay and Amazon again, and you'll probably get it cheaper, but it's nice to have that company backup. So if you want to phone somebody, you can get them straight on the line, and these guys know their stuff when it comes to airbrushes. You go on their website and you've got, they also stock badger, but they don't stock the sotar. So if you're looking at another badger on everything airbrush, they do stock other badges. You click onto Harder and Steenbeck, and then you've got your full range of Harder and Steenbeck. Now they do the Evolution Silverline Solo, which is this one here, and this one comes, to get this brush, this one comes as a 2-in-1. This is how I got this brush. So the 2-in-1 is basically a 0.2 and a 0.4 setup. You get the small cup there and you get the bigger cup in the kit, and these come out at 160. But if you wanted to get the setup of this brush, which is the 0.2 without the valve here, CR Plus on a 0.15. So all that's different that you're not getting is you're not getting your dialing bit here, which personally I don't use because you have these fully open, you get full zip into your trigger. You'll get the smooth bodied back, and then you'll get the prong cap with it and the 0.15, and that's 134.99. I've tried going different routes to try and make up the brush by buying needle and nozzle setups and buying the cheaper bodies, but it works out 134 to get this setup that I've got here, but without the air regulator here, which isn't a problem because you can get the cheap air regs that sit on your air hoses for like £4 or £5. So that's what I recommend. I'll leave a link in the description to everything airbrush. You can have a little scroll through. They've got a big selection of Evolutions that you can have a look at. So that's round 2. They're both available nice and easy. Check out them 2 websites for availability and spares and things like that. You're just guaranteed that you've got a little bit more customer care when you go through a proper website than just buying straight off Amazon and eBay and it just gets shipped out to you. So we'll move on to the spray test, which is round 3. Right guys, we are moving on to the spray test, and we're going to do the Evolution first. Now I'm going to run this, we're not going to paint a picture, I'm just going to do some shading. We're going to do some full passes on a line so you can see the amount of spray it puts down. We'll do a little bit of detail type lines, dots and things like that here. Now I have used both of these brushes on pieces of artwork, the Evolution through the years, so I know exactly how the Evolution sprays. And the sotar, there is a video on the channel where I painted a full side panel on a Lambretta, which was a detailed piece of artwork, and it gives you a sort of another sort of review on the sotar, painting with it for like 2, 3, 4 hours in one go. So I know exactly how both they work. Now we'll do pressure settings for the first bit. We'll run them at 25 psi, both brushes. I've got some black paint mixed here that will go in both brushes exactly the same, and I'll try and do it as even as I can for both brushes. So hooking up the Evolution, I'm opening the valve on the bottom, so that's fully open. We're not going to adjust the air pressure on there, we're going to adjust the air pressure on the regulator that you can see just there on the wall. We'll adjust it there on both brushes. So drop a little bit of paint in. In fact, I will put water in first so you can just see. You just look there now, you'll just see both brushes are going to be running nice and clean. I've given these brushes a clean out thoroughly with both brushes to start off. Just blast that water through, drop some paint in, pull the paint through, and then I'll try and get you in as close as I can. So just do a little test on the top to see if the paint's coming through, which it is. So shading with the Evolution, you'll find the triggers on these are really nice. Now this one's had the hack done to it, so the trigger response seems a lot better. So we're just going to soft shade this circle, and you'll notice with the Evolution as well, they atomise really nice, and at 25 psi it doesn't sound like you're getting much air out the front of this brush. They're really soft on air as they come out. So shading on these are brilliant. Trigger response on this is absolutely on point. So that's a little bit of soft shade on there. Nice comfortable brush to work with for long periods of time. Really is. We'll do a little fade out this way. So when you do some nice fades with it this way like that, you can just see how it atomises that paint. Nice and soft. Really is accurate on spray pattern as well when you use this brush. Really nice. And as I say, it's very quiet. You don't get loads of air. When you're going really close on detail with this brush, 25 psi, you don't get loads of air bouncing back. It's very soft coming through the front of the brush. So it just means you can go nice and close up at 25 and it doesn't blow back at you. So a bit of soft shading, full pass on this. That's sort of your full pass, so it does get the paint down. You'd have to do a few passes to cover a big area. Down on detail, this thing is really good, guys. It really is on detail. You've only got to touch that trigger on this and it will get you the hairlines down. But every airbrush will get your hairlines down. It's the person behind the trigger and how good your trigger response is with the brush. But the Evolution works really nice down on detail. Nice clean lines, no breaks, consistent. So that's running 25 psi. What we'll do is we'll drop the pressure down. I'll just pan you around to that. And keep your finger on the trigger, and then we'll drop this down to 10 psi. So we're now going to run the evolution at 10. And again, really nice, and you can hardly hear the air coming out the front of this. So this paint consistency is bang on for 25 and runs down to 10 psi. Not a problem. Still getting your consistent hairlines with this brush. Atomises really nice at that pressure. So that's the evolution working at 25 and 10. Great brush, guys. Works really well. Atomises the paint really well. You've got your prong cap to the front, so if you do get a little bit of tip dry, you can just pinch straight on like that. A good, comfortable brush to work with. So that's the Evo. We'll move over now to the sotar, and we'll do the same test with the sotar. So a nice comparison between the two. Right, we're moving on to the sotar now. 25 psi. I'll just prove that's 25 psi. I've reset it, so we've got air pressure coming out, and we're on 25. I'll drop a little bit of water in. So the brush is clean, spraying water through nice. We'll drop the same black paint in. And because this has got the little scallop on the top, I personally like the ones with the scallop. The reason why I like the ones with the scallop on the top is because when you're painting detail, you've got full view. You haven't got a cup in the way. And it slows me down painting because I'm quite a fast painter. Having a few drops in the front of this brush, you paint for a little while and then you stop, fill up, and then you go in and paint again. And it slows me down, and I just enjoy painting with the sotar. Another reason why I like the sotar is it's really comfortable on your hand. It really is a comfortable brush with this little scallop piece of plastic in here. It just fits your hand really nice. So we'll pull that through. We'll do the same on this one. We'll just do some soft shading. And the sotar will shade just like the Evo. It really will. It's really nice, and the trigger response on this brush is absolutely on point. It really is. You've only got to touch these triggers on the sotars. The only thing you'll find at 25, you heard the evolution at 25, sounded a lot softer. The sotar, you feel a lot of air. It's very free flowing, I find. And I found with this painting with this brush, when I did the side panel, I didn't really get any tip dry with this brush at all. So running at 25, you will get a little bit of blowback. So going at 25 when you're going in on detail just seems a little bit fierce. So that's the softness on the sotar. We'll do one here. And there really isn't much in it, guys, when it comes to shading. I think the H&S is just a teeny bit softer on the shading, on the atomisation. Just it's either in or there. You'd have to be really up close with like a microscope or zoom right in and see the actual grain of the paint. But looking at them two, they look about the same. Fall back on the trigger. It's about the same sort of pass, and we're out of paint. You're getting about the same sort of pass between both brushes. So they both would put a little bit of coverage down. Drop a little bit more paint in. Down on detail. And the sotar is like, the trigger is a lot more, it's just absolutely on point. I mean, the Evo is on point, but this just, I mean, look how nice them fine lines are on this. Really nice. And that's going in at 25. As I say, sounds a little bit fierce up against your paper, and you will feel quite a bit of air blow back. So 25 PSI with a sotar, and you'll get down, this is paper so it's absorbing it. If you was going down on sort of like a metal car panel, I would drop your pressure, and that's what we're going to do now. So we'll pan round to that. I'll drop the pressure down to 10. So we're running 10 PSI, and I find this makes this brush a lot better. Running it at 10 for detail is really nice. Just get your paint consistency right, and the sotar just performs, really does. It's an amazing brush. So they'll both get you down on detail. I'm finding the sotar just a little bit more easier to hit the fine detail with. It really is nice to hit very small fine details with. The trigger is just amazing. And as I say, it just flows. It doesn't seem like you get any dramas with the paint. The Evo's the same. You don't get sort of dramas with paint. This paint consistency for both brushes has been really, really good. And they're both performing on point. They really are. On details, both of them. But for me, it's sort of hard to decide. There'll be people out there saying the sotar is a better brush. Now, they'll both do the same thing, but we'll find out at the end which one I prefer. So that's the spray test. We've done the sotar 25 psi, so that gives you a look at the spray pattern at 25. The shading that this brush can do, it lays the paint down just as good as the Evolution. As I say, it's a little bit fiercer when you're going in on detail, so drop your pressure down on the sotar. Once you hit, I think 10 psi on this brush with the right paint mix is absolutely brilliant, because then you're not getting a lot of blowback. It feels like the Evolution at 25 going in, just feels softer. The Evo will run at 25 and then run down to 10, not a problem. So they're both performing as they should. They'll both get your details down. So we'll move on to the third and final round, and I'll tell you which one I prefer. Right guys, final round and my conclusion on these two brushes. Now, they are both brilliant. They both really are brilliant brushes. They both run nice at 25 psi. They atomise the same. The spray patterns in sort of how much paint they will get down on a full pass are the same. Detail wise, they will go down exactly the same sort of detail. When it comes to running like the air pressures, as I say, with the sotar, it feels very sort of free and forceful. It sort of pumps the air through, and you can feel that at 25. If you were going down on detail, as I say, on something smooth, you've got to knock that pressure down. But when you're running the H&S, you can run the H&S at 25, you can go right in close, and you're not getting a lot of blowback. You don't get sort of that build-up of air pressure bouncing back at you. So you're probably less likely to get spider webbing on a smoother surface with the Evolution. But saying that, if you run the sotar with that paint consistency down to 10 psi, this thing just comes alive. It really does. It is a brilliant brush. Out the two on trigger, the sotar beats it on trigger response and comfortable on the standard trigger on this. Trigger response on this, because I've got the hack on it, is as on point as the sotar. Can't fault it on the H&S because I've done the trigger hack. But the comfortable trigger on the sotar is better. I absolutely love it, and I love this piece here on the brush. It's just really comfortable. And the reason why I picked this one, because there's no cup, so you get full visibility of your artwork. So out of the two brushes, for me, I prefer the sotar. My opinion, comfortable brush, but I do love the H&S's. They are brilliant on build quality, stripping down, putting back together. They're a lot easier. So for me, the sotar pips it on comfortable, trigger comfortability, it's either in or there for me on trigger response, but I can get both of these brushes to perform on how I want them to perform. If I want to get real tight detail, I can get it with both brushes. But for a beginner picking up one of these brushes, I think you will opt for the sotar out of the two. I really do, because it's an easy brush to paint with. It flows so nice, the sotar does. You can just put your paint in it and it just flows. So for me, it's the sotar out of the two. So I hope this video has helped you out. I wish I could have done a better test for you, say like a piece of artwork, but I have worked with both of these brushes on pieces and they're both great brushes. So whichever brush you get, you're going to get a really nice brush, guys, at that sort of price point. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.